Yeah, I'd like to make movies in Europe, especially if somebody will give me some money to make them, you know. But it really depends. I mean, you know, part of this thing of making movies regionally is I have to really feel like I know about the place. And so I don't feel like I can just wander in anywhere without help or time and figure out what's going on there enough to feel comfortable making a movie there. I'm not somebody who feels like, you know, if a tree falls in the woods and it doesn't hit an American, it didn't fall. You know, and that's the problem with most American movies made overseas is you've got to get some American star who's hot at the moment to be there, and then they feel like they have a story, you know.
You were saying last night about writing the challenge for John Frankenheimer. And the specific difficulties that arose for you there.
Yeah, I was writing a modern-day samurai movie for John Frankenheimer, and you know, first of all, he would call me from the top of the hotel in Tokyo and say, I just cast this part, and this guy speaks no English at all, so give all his lines to another character. And you'd have to do that kind of shuffling. And then the final thing, he called down and said, okay, well, here's the deal. Toshiro Mifune speaks English, but like a lot of Japanese people, he really can't say his L's and R's, and he's very self-conscious about it. So can you go through his dialogue and take out all the L's and R's? Now that's a good, you know, exercise. Generally, you know, I just say to the actors at the get-go, look, this is written the way that it's written for a reason. You know, if there's something that doesn't sound right to you, say it out loud. Tell me now before we get to the set, and we'll work on it. But it's there for a reason. Occasionally, you know, I've done 2 movies in Spanish. I'll say to an actor, okay, I've worked on this Spanish, and I've had people who speak it as a first language work on it. But if there's something, you know, I may need you to Puerto Ricanize this Spanish a little bit more. And if that's their background, they can do that a little bit. What if you're doing that thing that we accept in movies, that people are not actually speaking English, but we're going to hear them speaking English. They're actually speaking Spanish. Well, one thing there, you know, is to learn a little bit about the language that they're supposed, the way the syntax of their language works, and work that into it. If I were a fly on the wall and I was going to report what was important about this conversation, which might be 5 pages now, what would I get rid of so that I could tell it in 1 page or even in 4 lines? And then you get to do a little bit more in the editing room later to shape it. But a lot of it, I think the most important thing is really listening, you know, and really then analyzing what you're hearing. You know, people talk different ways, you know, during the same day. You know, you may talk differently at work than you do in the pub, and differently when you're with your mother than when you're at home with your wife and kids. You know, and you have to start to hear those things. So a lot of what I end up doing, and I think it helped me that I was an actor, is once a dialogue scene starts, I just let it run.